So once we've got to the stage where we are happy with kind of an overview of how we might prototype this, we need to maybe think a bit more about the details. Okay, so we've got the overview, as I've just said, but maybe the details of how things like electronics are going to be held in place. Maybe we're going to put some feet on the bottom to make it a bit more stable and look a bit more professional, to kind of present to your client or whoever you're presenting to what it's all about. You need to think about those details quite carefully. So in terms of the space in the cavity, maybe from this initial design over here, maybe our electronics of how the pump is going to work and how it's going to be powered can be housed in this section. So what we could do is we could take that back part, and I imagine it's going to be, for the prototype, just a really simple piece. Maybe it's got some kind of finger joints on to hold it in place. Something like so. Maybe these bits have been cut out here like this. Just quickly draw over those. And we want this to be 3D, so we can just kind of very quickly bring these back. So there is our back part that is going to be fitting onto here. Now, as I said, maybe our electronics and our batteries, etc., might sit on there. It might be something that we can take off from the back part. Instead of having these finger joints, you could maybe add some screws and some kind of recessed some recessed nuts. Lots of different options. But maybe you want to show that your board, your Arduino board, will have some holes in it, and maybe the board will then sit on top of this, like so. Again, from a kind of side-on point of view, a side-on perspective, you can show the thickness of your material, and then you can show, I don't know, maybe you've got your pin headers there, maybe you've got your power jack socket. You can show that coming through here. Maybe you've got some nuts, some bolts here, or machine screws. Just to hold it in place. Okay, now that's an option. There's loads of different options you could use. You could just use some sticky tape, but that's not great for your prototyping. But yeah, there's one quick option that you could go for, potentially with the feet. So if we go back to this part here, maybe we wanted some rubber feet on the base of our whole product. So if we look at the underside of that, so let's kind of draw it from like a worm's eye perspective. What have we got? We've got this kind of shape, I suppose. You could show that you're going to have some feet under here, depends how many you want. And you could basically show that is, I don't know, got some threads in it. All right, so from a kind of like, let's show you this here. You could show that there's a thread in there, like that. Point to one of these holes, and it basically shows how the rubber foot might fit in. So the rubber foot could look something like a kind of semicircle dome with the thread on the outside. And then it's going to be there, but it's also going to be slotting into here. What else could you go for? So if we look at this section here, maybe you want to think about, are there some O-rings on the inside to help with the seal? So again, you could kind of redraw that, and a nice way of doing that is to quickly trace over the top of it. So I can kind of roughly see here, roughly see this. I guess you can do this really quickly. Over here like this. Cool, very quick. take your time, do it better than that. We had this section here as well, didn't we? But maybe you want to show that in here, you have got a slot for an O-ring, and that's where the O-ring is going to sit. Let's just make that a bit darker so it doesn't look so strange. And then you can show that your O-ring slots into there. And it could be, I don't know, you could show that it's got a diameter of, maybe let's go for, I don't know, let's go for, how big is that cylinder? Maybe like 70 millimeter diameter potentially. Yeah, so this is giving you a bit more detail and kind of helping you to understand how the product is going to fit together a bit better. All right, so there's lots to think about. It's not a case of just chucking it all together. The more you can kind of showcase this with your sketching, so thinking about how you sketch and how you present it, the better it will end up being.